So when we were talking to some of these fake IDs that we think was the perp or Brian or both, the subject of stingrays came up, and I didn't even know what a stingray was at the time. And the person that we were talking to, the fake ID we were talking to, made it sound like they thought that the police have tried to use stingrays in this case. And so I wanted to find out what they were, first of all. But I want you to bear in mind when you watch this that I'm about to show you, it tells you what a stingray can do. Now, if you worked for law enforcement and you had a stingray and you wanted to commit murders, how could you use a stingray to help you commit the murders, for example? Just think about that. And there's another device called the Dirtbox as well, and we'll talk about that later. But the same person who I think is the perp, and I think might be Brian Kohberger, also talked about the Dirtbox, and we'll talk about that later. I'm just going to show you a quick clip from this. Now, this is on ABC 11, The Stingray, How Law Enforcement Can Track Your Every Move. So if you want to watch this another time, you can. I'm just going to play it through. You can't hear the sound on this because I'm playing it through my laptop. So I'm just going to talk over it. But basically, this device pretends to be a cell phone tower. So when your phone tries to attach itself to the nearest cell phone tower, instead it attaches to the stingray. And they get all the information pretty much that they need from that. So it will force data through the stingray and it will get lots of information. So that's the stingray. Now let's look at the other one, which is the Dirtbox. Let me just show you that one. So actually, let's just do it here. So let me find the Dirtbox. So a Dirtbox, let's see what that is a cell site simulator, very similar to a stingray. It mimics a cell phone tower, and it creates a single signal strong enough to cause nearby phones to switch to it. It can be mounted on aircraft in this case. So a Dirtbox can be mounted on an aircraft and be used by the United States Marshal Services since at least 2007 to locate and collect information from cell phones believed to be connected to criminal activity. So I wonder if this Dirtbox or stingray have been used in this case so that they know exactly where Kohberger was and what he was saying on his phone, if it was Kohberger. I'm assuming it was Kohberger just because the police have arrested him. So it can also be used to jam phones, notice, okay? Now, the other thing I wanted you to think about is if you imagine you were Kohberger, assuming that he is the perp in this case, and you wanted to know whenever Kaylee calls Jack because you fancy Kaylee and you're angry at her for wanting to get back with Jack, then when Kaylee calls Jack, you could intercept those calls, and instead of calling Jack that night at 2:45 or 2:47 a.m. or whatever it was, when she was calling and texting Jack, maybe instead she was calling and texting this Dirtbox or something like that, some sort of device like that. So Kohberger knew that she was texting Jack, so he knew she was back in town, so he knew that she was trying to get back with Jack. And maybe that was when he decided, that's it, I'm going to do the killings tonight kind of thing. Because if you notice, he leaves his apartment almost as soon as Kaylee starts to text and call Jack. So I'm just wondering whether Kohberger does actually work for Pullman Police Force, whether he got that internship in the digital forensics area. And if he did, whether he had access to either a Dirtbox or a stingray. Now, the thing the fake ID was telling us in the forums and stuff, he was saying that he thinks the Dirtbox and the stingray has been used against the perp, as against whoever did the crimes. However, I was thinking maybe the perp used these things, the Dirtbox and the Stingray, as part of the crimes. And would that explain why Kaylee could not get through to Jack on that night? Was it because the calls were actually going to Brian's phone and not to Jack's, or something like that? Or just going to one of these, Stingrays or Dirtboxes or something. So that's just a theory. I don't know if it's got any merit at all, but I always worry about why she couldn't get through to Jack that last half an hour between like 2:30 and 3 o'clock. And I think Maddie as well was trying too. So it seems like it would be like a Dirtbox or a Stingray or something like that. Or the other possibility is maybe Kohberger did befriend her a little bit, like Kaylee, a little bit, but not very much, to raise suspicion. But somehow he gave her his phone number, maybe because he's a dog walker or something like that. So he gave her his phone number, and when he put his phone number into her phone, maybe he swapped out Jack's number for his number under the word Jack. So whenever she called Jack, she thought she was calling Jack, but she was actually calling Kohberger or something like that. So, there's a few different possibilities. So these are just theories, and I don't know if there's any merit to them at all, of course. The other thing I wanted to cover was that there's been a lot of conjecture around whether or not Kohberger was following Maddie and Kaylee. Well, I have it on pretty good authority that this screenshot was taken like as soon as Brian Kohberger was arrested. And this user, Brian Christopher Kohberger, we all went and had a look. He had links to all of the family of the Kohbergers. So we went down and we saw it was like, the account had been around for quite a long time. It was linked to all the Kohberger family, even I think the aunt in Las Vegas and things like that. So I'm pretty sure that this was a genuine account and a genuine screenshot, and that he was following both of those two. So that, although there's been a lot of controversy about that, I think he was. Okay, I'm going to take you down a bit of a rabbit hole here, but I just want you to know that Kohberger has a whole lot of family in Las Vegas, okay? And that family tree may be important in a number of ways. So we're going to kind of look at some of this. Okay, so let's just look at a couple of these things on here. So Kohberger's aunt, who lives in Las Vegas, told the Sun newspaper, that she had flown Kohberger and his family out to Las Vegas multiple times in the past, and she described him as a shy and troubled teenager. So from all accounts, they had spent a lot of Thanksgivings in Las Vegas with that side of the family. So I thought to myself, well, maybe they have been to Las Vegas this Thanksgiving straight after the murders, kind of thing. And, maybe that was planned into this whole thing as well. So just to prove that Anne Shoemaker is in Las Vegas, we did some searches, we did some people searches, and we found that she is in Las Vegas, which I think this is the same thing. Yeah, it's the same one. She's got another name, so it's Shoemaker Kohberger. So Shoemaker is her other, I guess that's her maiden name or something like that. I don't know if it's her first married name or something like that. So that same person, she's 53, in Nevada, in Las Vegas, in Clark County. She's got a house there and so on, right? So we found that. And then we looked at the family tree. So it's not very clear here. There we go. So the family tree seems to go this way. So Henrietta Kathy Bottino was born in 1935, and she died in 2021, aged 85. So she seems to be the matriarch, if you like. Now, she was married so she had parents, Louis Vuitino and Madeleine Damaso. And then she was married to Michael Francis Kohberger, born on the 1st of June of 1933 in Brooklyn in New York. And he died in 2006, age 73, and his parents are here too. And so Michael Francis Kohberger is the son of those two, of Henrietta and Michael Francis Kohberger. So his name is also Michael Francis Kohberger, but he's the father of Brian Kohberger. So he married Marianne Rodgers, which is basically Marianne Kohberger, which is this is the parents of Brian. So they had two girls, Amanda and Melissa Ann, and of course they had Kohberger, Brian Christopher Kohberger. Okay. So it seems like Michael Kohberger has a brother called Louis Robert Kohberger and a sister called Cheryl Marie Kohberger. Now, Cheryl Marie Kohberger, keep an eye on this, was first married to Van Hammock and then was married to Randall Wayne. This becomes very important. This is how Randall Wayne is factored into all of this. Okay, so just bear all that in mind. And then we'll look at some of the other stuff. So this is the family tree. So there you see Henrietta and Michael Kohberger, the parents, and then Michael Francis Kohberger, the father of Brian Kohberger. So basically these are his grandparents. And then Mary Ann Rodgers is the mother, and her parents are up here, but we don't know who the mother is. So this is the family tree, and this is kind of what they used to determine whether Brian Kohberger actually committed the murders. As you know, they got some DNA off of the sort of tab underneath the sheath clasp, if you like. So the knife sheath clasp that was left under the body of Maddie, under the comforter, sort of half under the comforter, that knife sheath had a little tiny piece of DNA under that clasp. They used that to identify who had done it, kind of thing, but they couldn't get a hit in CODIS. So CODIS is the kind of default database they go to find out if anyone's ever had any, criminal activity in the past. Or any of their DNA would be in the database. That is freely available to the police, kind of thing. Now, other ways of getting that information are a little bit less distinct, shall we say. So what they did in this case, we believe, is they used IgG, which basically says, I'm going to trace your family tree and find somebody else in your family tree who is on a database that is freely available to the police. And if I get a match with that person, I might be able to work out who you are. Okay. So what they did was they got Michael Kohberger's DNA when they went to the house and they went through the trash and they got the DNA from the trash. Brian Kohberger had been keeping his DNA well out of the way of law enforcement by putting it in baggies so that they couldn't use his DNA to catch him, because he knew how this stuff works. He'd been putting gloves on and using baggies and putting all his trash into these little baggies, and he'd been cleaning his car and stuff. Since he got to Pennsylvania, he'd been non-stop cleaning his car and stuff like that. So they had nothing on him, but they got his father's DNA from the trash, and using that in one of these genealogy databases, luckily for the police, Michael Francis Kohberger, the father, had previously done one of these DNA trees, these ancestry trees, and had given his DNA to one of those, I don't know if it's ancestry.com or 23andMe or something like that. So because he'd given his DNA, they could tell that whoever did this crime was his son. and he only had one son, and that's Brian. So that made it pretty clear. I mean, it was 99.99999, I don't even know how many nines, percent sure that this was the father of the perp, basically. So that's kind of how he got caught. So just a bit of interesting stuff there. So let's look at this one. So this is Annette Shoemaker Kohberger, that we think is the aunt that they were talking about in The Sun. And this is like her family. This is all her family here. Now, this Randall Kohberger comes up a couple of times around here. So he's on the list. This list just means that they're relatives, just that they're related in some way, okay? So it looks like he's about the same age as Annette, and his name is Randall. And we believe that Randall and Ronald are twins, and that becomes important as well. Let's have a look. This one. So this is the Randall's family tree. So this is just to show you that Randall is on that tree. So here we are. So this is just weird, just bizarre, okay? So while we were tracing these people in Las Vegas, Tracy Ronald Kohberger came up. We don't really know exactly how she fits into all of this, but she had put out this wanted poster saying that Randall Allen Kohberger, Randall, that's the Randall we just looked at, was wanted for having killed her husband. And her husband is the brother of Randall. So her husband's name is Ronald Ames Kohberger. This is the twin brother. Okay, so let's just go back so you didn't forget that bit, because it's a little bit confusing. So, oh, hang on, that's the wrong one. So here we have Randall Kohberger, who's the one that is accused of murdering his brother, the twin brother, Ronald Kohberger. Okay. And we believe that Tracy was married to Ronald. Okay. So let's go back to that. So this is just bizarre. So she, first of all, she puts this wanted poster out, and she said it's not a joke. And she really will pay lots of money if you find him, she says. Now, we don't know. This could be something that Brian Kohberger put out there just for a joke or something like that. I think it might be that, but we'll see. I don't know. Anyway, so Ronald Kohberger, so this is Tracy's husband that died. You know, he lived in Las Vegas. He was age 59. So we think this is the same Ronald Kohberger that we saw on that list of relatives, if you like. We've already seen that one. This is the one I wanted to show you. So Tracy, now whether this is really Tracy or whether it's like, I don't know, Brian just messing around with us and doing something crazy, I don't know. But this is a really weird post. Now she's saying, now you're really pushing it this time, Piggy. You're harassing me in a time like this. That what I have. Now, some of this doesn't really make a lot of sense. That what I have been going through, I think she means. Since you killed my husband. So presumably she's saying to Piggy that she thinks he killed her husband. Well, in that wanted poster, that was Randall. So presumably Piggy is Randall, I'm guessing. The table is going to turn from now on, and I know why you are so raw and behaving this way, BC. Now, does BC mean Brian Christopher? I don't know. I don't know who BC is. It's not Randall, because Randall starts with an R, so I don't know. When it comes down to it, you don't have a problem to throw water buffalo on the bus. I don't know what that means. That's why you're doing this now. You are harassing me, okay? Well, let me break the news to you. I have a big surprise for you and Water Buffalo, and I don't care if I tell you I ahead of time, so prepare for it. The reason that I didn't do anything right away because I did not care for anything when you took my husband's life. So I think what she's trying to say is she was so upset when her husband died, and when she thinks Randall killed her husband, Ronald. I was mentally, physically checking out on this planet. So she was basically not part of the world because she was so upset. and you think you can break me. No, you won't. You're not going to. Oh, by the way, did you just go and get your Botox done with my husband's money? So I presume somebody has just had some Botox done in the family, and Tracy thinks that that was done with some money stolen from her husband or something. I don't know. There is nothing about you that I don't know. And do you think how I know BC, your water buffalo, told me so? What a skanky pig you are. How do you think I know all these? When he gave you your boobs job, you left him and your little baby son at a young age. So actually, as I'm reading this, I'm thinking Piggy must be like Ronald's wife or something, because it's obviously a female, because they've got a boob job done, unless they're transitioning or something. I don't know. But it seems like Piggy might be the wife of Ronald, maybe. I don't know. And your little baby son at a young age, and go on hating, I'm not sure, hating, I suppose that means, around the world doing what you do best. I don't know really exactly what all that means. All I know is she sounds very upset. She seems to think definitely she thinks her husband has died, and she seems to think he's been killed. And he's being killed by someone in the family, it sounds like. And I don't know who BC is. I don't know if that's Brian Christopher. I really don't know. But it's all very bizarre. And it's only like February 2023. So it's like, I don't know if the death happened just before then, or before Kohberger was arrested, or I don't know. Could it have been Kohberger that did the killing? I don't know. It's all very bizarre. Right, so here's another clue so the Daily Mail is saying that Kohberger's father's side live, for the most part, live in Las Vegas. So that's just further confirmation that, he has got family in that area. So I don't know this whole killing thing, whether, so there we go. So Randall is here and Leah is here. So I'm presuming Leah must be Miss Piggy or what have you. So her name's Leah Burrito, it seems. So I don't know, but that is very bizarre. Leah Burrito. I wonder if we can find that in Las Vegas. Doesn't look like it. It's all, nope, that's all just ordinary stuff, I think. Nothing to do with this. Okay. I wonder if we can find Leah Burrito Kohberger or something. Burrito. I mean, Leah Burrito sounds made up to me. So I think that this might be, Brian just playing with us and stuff. I don't know. Let's see what this is looking for. No, that's about food, so that's not it. No, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be any help. Oh, so this is her though, I think, by the looks of it. Could be. Does it say who her relatives are? Where's the relatives part? So Leah Marie Kohberger. Possible relatives. Here we go. There we go. Randall Kohberger, which is the husband that we think died. Ronald Kohberger, which is the twin brother. Annette Shoemaker, which is the aunt of Brian. So I presume that Randall and Ronald are uncles of Brian. Quite completely out of context, really, but there's a Soto family here, which is a little bizarre as well, given Madeline Soto recently, that murder, but I don't think that's related. But it's pretty scary. Okay, so I think we've found the family pretty definitely there. So who knows, did he spend Thanksgiving with them this year, just after the murders, and then drive from there to Pennsylvania and not go back to Moscow, Idaho. I think if he's trying to avoid capture, which he did say as one of his alternative fake ID type things, he did say somewhere that that traveling to Las Vegas was an option and would reduce the chances of getting caught. Where are we? There it is. So he said, this is Trey Patterson talking to me, and he said something about going to Vegas. Escaping to another state after murder increases your chances by 5 of avoiding capture. So, you know, he was talking about going to Vegas. So maybe he went to Vegas straight after he'd registered his car. So he registered his car on the 18th of November. We know that. But maybe he straight then went to Las Vegas and then drove from Vegas over to Pennsylvania with his dad. And then he comes up with this really bizarre stuff about beacon triangulation and the hack in her phone and things like this. This is another thing that makes me think that this is Kohberger, and that Kohberger really does know a lot of like digital forensics stuff. So I don't know if he ended up working for Pullman Washington Digital Forensics Lab, or if he just learned all this because of his criminology interests and stuff. I know he did some sort of cloud technology course as well. I think at DeSales, I think. But you know, he's got a lot of technical knowledge, and this is something I don't even know about, the beacon triangulation stuff. I had to look that up. So yeah, who knows? So that is that. Let me see, is there anything else we want to go through? There's a little bit in here. Do I want to go through? Right, so this is the stuff that was taken from Kohberger's. It's actually his apartment. It says house, but I think this is the apartment, isn't it? I believe this was from the apartment, not the house. So this is not from his dad's house. This, I think, is from the apartment. So this is the key thing. The book with underlining on page 118. So if you go to Elliot Rodgers' manifesto, it's quite a well-known book amongst people that are interested in, serial killers and so on. Yeah. So if you go to page, how do we get to the actual biography? Okay, maybe it's this one at the top. I thought it was the next one down, but maybe it's this one. Yep, this is it. Okay, so if I just press, oops, sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Ignore me. Okay, if I press go to 118. Oh, okay, I'll do it this way then. 118. Okay, so this is page 118. So this is all about, it shows how bleak and cruel the world is due to the evilness of women. The evilness of women. Now, I don't know which part Brian Kohberger underlined on this page 118 of this manifesto, but we believe it was this manifesto he was reading. But this page has some really bad stuff in it, okay? So one thing it says at the top is how wicked and degenerate women really are. So it says, how bleak and cruel the world is due to the evilness of women. So he's basically blaming women for all of his problems, you know. There's a whole load of stuff in here. It's really about, you know, hot young girls. So flocks of hot young girls, this is in Santa Barbara, go out in their shorts and bikinis, further tantalizing my sex-starved body every time I look at them, knowing that they gleefully show off their desirable forms, yet they would never give me a chance to be their boyfriend, only increased my already boiling hatred towards all women. So he's basically getting, this is Elliot Rodgers. This is not Brian Kohberger, but this is Elliot Rodgers. But if he was indeed reading this book and he was underlining stuff on this page, you know, some of this stuff could be really, you know, very telling towards him being the perp. Yeah. I could not leave my apartment without seeing at least a few of them. And you think of Brian Kohberger, where he lived, probably it's the same for him, right? He's probably surrounded by beautiful student women that he can't have a relationship with, because we all know he's having real problems having a relationship with anyone. And women really find him very weird and don't want him around them and things like that. So what else is here that we could look at? I had nothing left to live for but revenge. Now, what if Kohberger was feeling like that? Because we know he had all that visual snow stuff going on, and seems like he had some mental torments and demons and stuff like that, he said. So what if by this time, by 2022, he'd got to the point where, he'd tried so many times to find a woman, couldn't get one, got more and more rageful, got more and more upset about it, got more and more depressed or whatever. And the only thing he had to live for might have been revenge. Maybe he underlined that line, So Elliot Rodgers is saying here, women must be punished for their crimes of rejecting such a magnificent gentleman as myself. And I honestly can see Brian Kohberger thinking that. The way he's so superior in all his messages in the forums and stuff, if that is indeed him, it suggests to me that he has that superiority complex, and that is how he would feel about it. That's how I think he would feel. All these popular boys, so maybe Ethan was a popular boy that he was like, I want to punish you kind of thing, because Ethan was a good looking boy, tall, popular, especially he had a nice girlfriend, a beautiful girlfriend. They seemed really happy and stuff. So this is Elliot Rodgers saying, they're enjoying heavenly lives and having sex with all the girls while I have to suffer in lonely virginity. Maybe this is the line that Kohberger underlined, because I'm pretty sure it sounds like he was a virgin. He tried to, even have a date with a number of girls, and even the first date didn't go very well. So I guess he didn't make it to losing his virginity. That's my guess. So this is Elliot Rodgers again. I lived in a college town full of young, attractive students who partied and had sex all the time. Well, if you think about it, that house is symbolic of all of that, right? I'm sure the girls were having a real good time partying. I'm sure they were having sex with their boyfriends and so on. And he says, I didn't get to experience any of it. No one invited me to any parties, and all the times I went out by myself, none of the beautiful blonde girls showed any interest in having sex with me. Not one girl. These are crimes that cannot go unpunished. What if Kohberger underlined that line? These are crimes that cannot go unpunished. The more I thought about all these injustices, is what he calls them, the more eager I became for revenge. It's all I had left. I didn't want to die. I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you can read it properly. But I knew that I had to kill myself after I exacted my revenge to avoid getting captured and imprisoned. Now, we know, the perp in this case did not kill himself after the revenge or after the murders. So, maybe he, found lots of ways to avoid capture, he hopes, so he doesn't feel like he has to kill himself. I don't know what's going on in the head of the perp or in the head of Brian Kohberger. So he's decided to exact his retribution in Isla Vista or Santa Barbara city colleges, which both places he'd suffered greatly at the hands of everyone there. He's seen attractive young couples walking about, and those were my targets. I wanted to kill as many attractive young couples as I could. After a lot of thinking, I came to the conclusion that the day of retribution will take place in Isla Vista. On weekend nights, this street is flooded with young couples and good-looking, popular kids walking to their parties. What better place is there to exact my retribution on my enemies? Every time I walked around there trying to meet girls or fit in with the popular kids, I've only been treated with disdain, as I'm an inferior mouse. On the day of retribution, the tables will indeed turn. Now, this sounds to me a bit like that whole thing about it's hard to scream when you've got duct tape on or something. I can't remember exactly the words, but I think it was Trey Patterson that said that. it sounds like he's basically saying, you're going to get your comeuppance and I'm going to teach you a lesson kind of thing. So this is Elliot again. I will be a god and they will all be animals that I can slaughter. They are animals. Again, they are animals. Sounds like they're a sack of meat, it sounds like all he sees is a sack of meat. Yeah. Horrendous, really. It came to a point where I had to set a date for the retribution. I was considering Halloween of 2013 because of the huge raucous partying. There would literally be thousands of people, but by then, after seeing footage of previous Halloween events on YouTube, I saw that there were too many cops walking around. It would be too risky. One gunshot from a cop will end everything. So the day of retribution would have to be on a normal party weekend, so I set it for sometime during November of 2013. Now, this is key, I think, because a lot of people think that Kohberger decided on a date in November because of Elliot Rodgers doing it in November. And I think, if I remember rightly, what was the date that Elliot Rodgers did it? It was very close. Date of killings. Let's check that. So here he is. So this says May the 23rd, 2014. Oh, I remember. He was planning on doing it and then he didn't do it that day. I remember now. Yeah. Yeah, so he planned on doing it November 2013, but he didn't end up doing it till May of 2014 or something. But anyway, this is a horrendous manifesto. If you read it, it's just like the guy he's got everything upside down, and it's just horrendous. But if Kohberger was indeed reading this manifesto, this could have influenced his choice of November 2013. There's a whole load of stuff about numerology around this killings as well. If you look at 1122 King Road, the number's 1122. There's a whole load of things around that. First of all, Brian Kohberger's birthday was, let's get his birth date so I don't get it wrong, was 11/21. So his birthday was 11/21. The house was 11/22. The date was 11/12 when he was trying to commit the murders, or 11/13 as well is possible, because 11/13 was the date he actually committed the murders. It kind of spilled over into the early hours of 11/13. There was a lot of numerology type stuff in some of the fake ID. I think it was Trey said stuff like, if you can't see the pattern, you're not opening your eyes, or something like that. And where are we in here? Now I've got to find it, of course, which is not easy. Hang on a sec. Let's see if I can find it. Can we make it bigger? I don't think I've got it here. I'm going to find it and I'm going to put it on another session later on. There's a piece where Trey says something about some killings, another mass killing, and the time of the news report was like 11/12 or something like that, and the date of the attack was like, I think the 12th of November, like 11/12 or something like that. And there was a whole lot of numerology stuff around it, and a number of people have said that Amityville as well held a lot of numbers similar to this case. So I'll try and find some of that information and put it on the next one of these. So with all that, we went off at a complete tangent. We were looking at the list of evidence from Brian's, it's actually his apartment, not his house. So that book with underlining was Elliot Rodgers' manifesto, we think. So this is the other stuff that they found. So they found a knife at his apartment. Presumably that knife had no bearing on the crime, because otherwise I think we'd have heard about it. There was an AT&T bill for Brian Kohberger, which presumably was for that, is it 8458 number, I think it is. There was a gun. Now, we don't know if the perp used a gun. We know that everyone seemed to be very quiet and there weren't very many screams. So maybe a gun was used to keep them quiet. Who knows? I don't know. There was also a pocket knife. Again, I believe that these had no bearing on the crime. Otherwise, we'd have heard about it, I think. Some vehicle paperwork. So that probably was pertaining to his Hyundai Elantra 2015, his actual car. That he'd bought from his mother, I think. Maybe the registration in Washington and stuff like that on the 18th of November, that kind of paperwork, I think. Now, there's a laptop. Now, from what I've read and heard from Brian Kohberger or the perp, I think they were very, very savvy technology-wise. So I'm guessing that they had encrypted their laptop and deleted everything and all that kind of stuff. However, even people that have deleted everything and encrypted everything and so on, the FBI does have means of undoing that, right? And they can use it in some cases. So one of the things about cryptography in this country is you're not allowed to use cryptography that the FBI can't crack, because they might need to get in to find out information pertaining to national security and that kind of thing. Now, of course, this is not national security level. So I don't know if they're allowed to use that kind of decryption and get into his laptop or what have you. I don't know. That'd be interesting to find out in the court case. But if they are, I'm sure there will be some information on his laptop that will be useful. I just can't see how it wouldn't be. There may be more than one laptop. There may be one at his dad's house as well. I don't know. I really have no idea. Green leafy substance. I think we can all guess what that is. Documents. Now, this could be, he might have been marking some students' work from University of Washington. He might have had documents that he was writing his thesis, that kind of thing. His thesis might actually help convict him, because if his thesis was on, digital forensics at Pullman, Washington, and he did get that internship and that kind of thing, then what he'd learned about digital forensics, he might have put into that thesis. And they may later be able to say, well, you knew about a Stingray, you knew about a Dirtbox or whatever it is. So that may help them convict him. Who knows? Another green leafy substance, I'm sure we can all guess what that is. White paper with password. Well, Brian Kohberger is not stupid enough to write down his actual password for anything useful. So he may have written down his password to sort of goad the police, to kind of tease them or something like that, or play an enigma game. Maybe the password is like an anagram for his real password or something like that. I don't know. But I'm sure it's not as straightforward as he's just written down his password. So there's some power cables and cell phone and things like that. Now, the cell phone, I'm sure, is just the 8458 number. However, it might be a burner phone or something like that. We don't know. So if it's a burner phone, it might have some information on it that helps us convict him. But I think Brian's too clever for that. I don't think that's going to be as easy as that. So 3 Glock 40 caliber magazines. Now notice this is a 40 caliber up here, and there's 40 caliber magazines here that are empty, 3 of them. So where did he use that gun? Where did he shoot? Maybe he shot at, a gun club local to him or something like that, a shooting range or something like that. Or maybe he used, the gun that night for some reason. I don't know. I really have no idea. Does anyone know what a VOOKS is? A VOOKS? Is that books? And they've just spelt it wrong because the V and the B are close together on the keyboard. I hope not. I hate to think of the police making stupid mistakes like that, but I think that's books. Black face masks. So of course we think the perp was wearing a black face mask, according to Dylan. So this could be, pertinent information. If they can prove somehow that black face mask was actually in the house, like it picked up some of Murphy's hair or something like that. And that's another thing. One of these lists has an animal hair on it. So, maybe Murphy could help us crack this case. Who knows? And there's a prescription. Now, this prescription could be key. If Kohberger is the perp and he does have schizophrenia, if his prescription is for schizophrenia, then that might explain at least some of how this happened. Of course, it would not exonerate him or anything like that, but it might at least give some kind of answers to why it happened or what happened or something, if there was a mental illness thing going on here. And definitely, it seems like he had visual snow anyway. And as I say, visual snow is usually, or not usually, is often associated with schizophrenia. So there's that. So then there's the second part of this. So we got up to prescription up here. So then there's black gloves. So black gloves on their own, anyone could have black gloves, but having a black hat and a black mask and black gloves, it's starting to look like a bit of a costume that you're going to use for committing a murder to me, if this is the guy that we think did it, yeah? Personal identifying documents. Now, it doesn't say personal to Brian, it just says personal identifying documents. Now, there are all kinds of rumors that Brian took the ID cards of Kaylee and Maddie from the scene of the crime, okay? And if he did, and that's what they found here, they can convict him almost based on just that, really. It's like, that's a huge thing, right? Having a black hat, black mask, black gloves, and these ID cards, that, to me, that would convince most jurors just like that, right? So that's a big deal. So, but we don't know what these personal identifying documents are. So it could just be his own, right? It could be, I don't know, a badge for him at Washington State University, being, a teaching assistant, right? So there's some New Balance shoes. Now, remember, we think that the shoes that were used in the committing of the murder had this diamond-shaped Vans style bottom, but apparently New Balance shoes have a similar bottom. I don't know if we can show that. Can we show that? Let's see. So New Balance soles. Oops, I can't spell. Soles similar to Vans. New Balance similar to Vans. See if that works. No, that's not going to. I want a picture, really. Let's see if we can see a picture of the soles. Okay, it doesn't look like we're going to see the soles of these shoes, but I believe the New Balance sole is very similar to the Vans sole. So, maybe the police thought it was a Vans sole, and when they actually did some investigation, it was actually a New Balance sole. And, maybe that is relevant. I don't know. Okay, let's have a look. So dark color jacket, dark jackets, dark color shirts, dark color pants, clear plastic gloves. See, to me, when you're starting to get all of this stuff together, it's starting to look like a kill kit. You've got knives, you've got guns, you've got black hat, black mask, black gloves. And plastic gloves. I know plastic gloves are used in forensics, and he's doing forensics at university and all that stuff. Now, there's a laptop with damage. Now, did he just bust this laptop? Did he just hit it across the room and try to completely break it up and maybe take out the hard disk and stand on top of it, or hit it with a baseball bat or something? I don't know. But that would be, pertinent information, even if they couldn't restore, which they probably can, if they couldn't restore the data from that laptop, that hard disk, at least that's evidence that he tried to get rid of some evidence, So there's a record of sale for that Glock that we saw above. It sounds like the same one, Glock 22 with 40 caliber. It says item photographed but not taken. I have no clue what that was. I'd love to know what that is. It's obviously relevant, but for some reason they didn't take it. And I just don't know what that would be. A note in the desk. Now, this note could be a suicide note. It could be anything. We don't know what it is, right? And it could be a note, a confession. It could be, I did this, and when you find it, I've had enough. I give up. Just come and get me, kind of thing. We don't know what it says, right? So that's intriguing. And again, in the court case, we're going to learn a lot of this stuff, right? What it's all about. Now, there's a criminal psychology book. Now, that's not unusual. The guy was studying psychology, was studying criminology and so on. But what if he's underlined stuff in there? What if he's got little yellow post-its all over the place? Maybe that would tell us something. Maybe there's some interesting stuff in there that helps. And documents, again, we don't know what those are. So there's a Columbia Navy fleece, which may or may not be relevant. I don't know. A man's hand drawing. Now, this could be interesting. Did Kohberger draw a picture of Kaylee after he'd killed her or something like that, to remember the incident or something like that? I'm guessing Kohberger's not that stupid and would not have done that, but you never know. It's happened. 10 curls inside a glove, inside a box. Now, this sounds like it really could be something to me. I don't know. I'm wondering if Kohberger was so full of himself, he just couldn't believe he'd ever get caught. I don't know. Anyway, so if there was a box with a glove inside it, and inside that glove there were some curls, could those curls be him, taking trophies from the victims, right? So this happens a lot in serial killer cases, especially, where they tend to cut a piece of hair or they take a piece of jewelry or something to remember the crimes that they committed. So 10 curls inside a glove, some of that could be from Maddie, some of it could be from Kaylee, some of it could be from Xana. If that is the case, they've got him, right? If he's got that inside a glove, inside a box in his room, he's obviously trying to hide it, then they've probably got him. But I've got a feeling that's probably a red herring or something that Kohberger's planted, because I think when he left Washington, I think he knew he was never going back. I think he knew he'd lost his job. He'd been fired, unofficially fired, like a couple of weeks before the murders, but really he knew that he was going to get fired over Christmas and he wasn't coming back. So I think I don't think he would have left anything in those apartments that would, be useful to indict him or to charge him with the offense. Various criminology books, notes, license card, and so on. So again, nothing really unusual about having those books, but all of this together is starting to look like, a killer's den, really, to me. Now, I know it doesn't list it here, but I know that there were animal hairs, or at least one animal hair found, and there's some other stuff too, like a pillow with blood on it and things like that. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, it's not there. Okay, so I don't know where that is, but that was found too. So so there was an animal hair that a lot of people think must be Murphy's, and there was blood on a pillowcase, I think. So, if that blood had the girl's DNA in it or something like that, that could easily convict him too, right? So interesting information. I think that comes to the end of this whole thing. I've got a little bit to say about killing the clones. So please go and watch Bubbly Waters' channel on YouTube. She covers this in a lot of detail. She was, I believe she was the next door neighbor, or she was visiting the next door neighbor on the night of the murders or something like that. So the whole gag order around this whole thing may be due to this killing the clones thing. This is the speculation. We don't know, right? So what is killing the clones? So there is speculation that somebody, possibly Kohberger, was planning on creating a movie this particular night of a pretend killing, right? A mass murder. And he was recruiting students to take part in it. This is the theory. And the theory is that when they took part in it, they were actually killed for real. So this is just conjecture. This is I can't substantiate it at all, okay? But there are some pieces of evidence that do kind of make you think, and you wonder whether this is true. So I'm going to show you some of those pieces of evidence so you can make your own minds up about this. So we are told that Dylan Mortensen posted this on November the 13th. I'm not sure if this was before the murders or after the murders. I think it was like 2:00 in the morning or something. And I think the idea or the belief is that this was Maddie's room. It's Maddie's room. You can see that here. And there's something to do with Charlie. I don't really understand what the Charlie thing is about. But if you read these words here, so the idea is that as part of staging these murders in the house, they, decorated the rooms in blood, drawing characters like this, and having blood coming down the walls and things like that. And so this was all, they thought, part of the staging of this murder video, okay? So somebody wrote this: "You gave me hope. That was the thing." And I think it says, I can't remember exactly what it says. I wish I had the whole thing. I can't see the whole thing. Yeah, it's a shame. So it was basically, you gave me hope and hurt me, and this is how I repay you by killing you, pretty much. I can't remember exactly what the words are, but it's something like that. So she posted this picture on November the 13th, and we think it was at around 2 in the morning, I think, if I remember rightly. And it's Maddie's room. So could the girls have thought that they were taking part in a video, and then actually what happened was they actually got killed? And could this be why, when Dylan heard stuff going on, she was disturbed by it and very scared, but she thought she was overreacting because she thought it was just a video being made, until she realized that it was real, too late, That's a possibility. I don't know. So this is one theory about it. So the other thing is that there's a lot of speculation that all these guys at the grub truck, they were all watching this video, this murder video called Killing the Clones, live. I think it was supposedly transmitted over Snapchat or Twitch or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And they were all looking at it at the same time, and everyone was discussing it. And apparently some of these close-ups, you can actually see some of the crimes being committed, they say, and things like that. I don't know. I can't get any close-ups that show anything like that. But they do all seem, I mean, if you watch the grub truck videos, I don't know if you've seen those, they're on YouTube. There's the grub truck puts out its video all night long that night. So, we've got end-to-end video for the whole night. The students do all seem to be looking at something on their phones, which they find entertaining. They're kind of laughing, and then they're kind of looking horrified and things like that. And at some points it does feel like they're saying, how could they stage that? It looks so real. It doesn't look like it's pretend anymore, So there is some of that there, definitely, and it is a bit creepy to think about it. So a few of us went a bit further to see what we could find, and Bubbly Waters is one of those people that went that deeper down the rabbit hole. Exactly, that's exactly what we went. So so there was a short film called Killing the Clones, and it says released the day before the crimes, but we're talking about midnight of that night. So the Saturday night at midnight, that's when it was released, I think. So Jack Katovich has something to do with this. He made a film called Kill the Clones and released it the same day, and he also created Ethan's GoFundMe and donated $6 to it, and sent $6 to Ethan with a note saying 3:30 the day before, this is some crazy snuff shit, where can I find the film? So the idea is that, this is kind of the weirdest kind of snuff film, right? This is what everyone's talking about. And how would he, if he posted a note before the crimes happened and said 3:30, well, that is the time that we think Maddie and Kaylee were probably killed, right? And there was a whole thing about 666 as well, involved in all this as well. So who knows? I don't know. Watch the Bubbly Waters videos and make your own mind up. There's some more stuff here from her. So this is Bubbly Waters. She's done a lot of videos about the Idaho 4 killings and quite a lot about this whole thing. So part of this was the whole Moscow Slayer thing I talked to you about earlier, where a lot of people think he's talking here about the dog that he supposedly ate part of and skinned the dog, which is really sick. But so that's one part of this. And then she goes on to talk about this couple. So Chris Kohberger Gonsalves is a person on Facebook, which my personal belief is this is another fake ID of Brian Kohberger's, but they claim that they are a couple who have nothing to do with the case or anything like this. So, this is the proof that they say they have nothing to do with this. And I don't know if they're real. I don't know if this is a real Facebook user or if it's a fake one that Brian made up. It certainly sounds to me like Brian made this up. It's the sort of thing he would do, I think. Or sorry, I should say the perp, not Brian, because I don't know it's Brian. So this one, let's look at this one. So the night of the murders, there was a lot of activity searching for the house online, and Papa Roger was the one that pointed this out to all of us. There was a whole trend graph we could look at, and we could see all these people searching for the house. Now, it says on Thursday, well, this is because theoretically, this Killing the Clones video, everybody knew it was happening at that house. So that's what he's trying to say, that people knew that this film was going to be made that night, around midnight, I think it was, of that Saturday to Sunday morning. So, if that's true and they were all searching before it happened, and then, a lot of students knew it was going to happen, that's pretty scary. Yeah. Yeah, so this is the same thing. So let me see if I can show you what there was some more Killing the Clones stuff. Let's see. Bubbly Waters did a great version of it. Okay, let's have a look at this one. No, this is not the one I was looking for. Okay, so this is not what I was looking for. But so the Killing the Clones video, there was a whole load of stuff. Oh, here we go. This is it, the Reddit. Okay. So there was a lot of stuff on here. So there's an original discussion here. So as you can see, they've deleted a lot of this stuff. So every time I try to find information on some of this stuff, it's kind of deleted and so on. So, but hopefully we can get some. No, I don't even think we can get anything useful now. It's all gone. That's a shame. So somebody, I think the police or FBI or something, are going around and deleting a lot of these posts and taking a lot of these users off. You can see, all the useful posts here are gone, right? Is this it? I'm not sure if this is part of it or not, but let's have a look. It's not. That's not what I was looking for, so I don't know what that is. I thought I was showing you something else. Hang on a sec. What's this one? Yeah, this video has been removed by the uploader. Yeah, I think what happened was the videos all got removed, so we can't really show you anything useful right now. Let me see. What do they say around this? There's a whole lot of speculation on these sites, of course. So this is that picture that we just looked at before, that we believe was posted by Dylan on the night of. Okay, I am not going to find it today. I'll have to. Oh, there we go. So let's look at the bubbly waters stuff. So actually, let's go back to the first one. This is the fourth one. Killing the clothes. This is about Sarah Osborne, and Sarah Osborne is that one that we talked about earlier. So this Ali 699 MOH is another one that we think was Brian Kohberger or the see if we can find the Killing the Clones stuff. There's a load of stuff here. Yeah, they're looking at the different fake IDs and so on. So the video was published on the 12th at midnight. So they're trying to say that it's not anything and not to get too upset about this. It's not real. But we get that a lot from the police. I think the police go into these forums and try to stop us finding out information and so on. So it's hard to know whether that's fact or fiction. So, but the YouTube video was posted on the Saturday at 12 o'clock, we think. This is not very useful for all of this. Photos from the alleged movie Killing the Clones. Here we go. This is probably good. Yeah, the one I wanted to show you. So the first thing to notice is those two, the Kohberger, the shoemaker Kohbergers, sorry, the Gonsalves Kohbergers are on this. Birdman Productions, that's the same ID that Kohberger used on his SoundCloud account, I believe. This is November the 12th, 2022. It's a film about action and adventure. A young man is with his girlfriend in their basement when he notices she's making something with different ingredients. After a while, he learns it's a mixture to make clones. So this is the Kohberger Gonsalves couple that we talked about earlier, that I think is just a Kohberger fake account, basically. Yeah, this is very unlikely, I think. So some of these are meant to be stills from the movie. I can't really see what that is. It looks like a man behind these two, but we don't know what that is really. So that's speculation and stuff. I can't make this any bigger. Hang on a sec. I'm trying to make it bigger so we can really see it. So this guy was a member of the University of Idaho murders case discussion. Now, it says from December the 31st, 2022. So who knows? there's a whole load of stuff that's really weird on here. Look at all this weird stuff going on here. There's a person here. What is all this? It's like someone who wants to make weird movies or something like that. So, it could be this person made this movie, but who knows? Very weird. So this profile of the Kohberger Gonsalves is also following 3 of the 4 victims, one being Ethan. Ethan's Instagram profile is private, so the user had to have begun following him prior to his passing, unless a family member or friend is now managing his account and doing stuff like that. So here's that Sarah Osborne person again, the Twin Peaks victim, if you like, that's the name of the Twin Peaks victim. The film is about a boyfriend who is fed up with his girlfriend's clones, so he hires a hitman to take them out. So what if they were pretending to make that film that night, and so they actually killed them as part of making that film or something? It's a very scary thought, but Birdman Productions. Remember that Birdman, and I'm going to show you some stuff about that in a minute. So this is what the film's all about, and there were 3,000 views of this. So lots of students, I think, were watching this that night. The intro song is "Rockin' Me" Steve Miller Band. The outro song is "Overkill" by Motorhead. Oh my gosh, it's pretty sick. He hires a hitman to take them out. And this is on 2022 11/12, Birdman Productions. So the Wayback Machine is how they find all this stuff. The Wayback Machine stores everything that's ever been in Google's search engine, and you can get it back retrospectively if someone deletes it and that kind of thing. So this is Sarah Osborne. She was a colonist. Oh, so Sarah Osborne is not the Twin Peaks girl. She's the one that was the witch, the Salem witch. Sorry. The other one was the Twin Peaks. Oh, sorry. If you think about it, Brian Kohberger is the sort of person that would know about Sarah Osborne and would know about the Twin Peaks victim as well. He studied different murders and different crimes and so on. So this is creepy, even if it's not connected. Everyone's saying in the forums and so on. I feel like whoever's idea it was to make this silly homemade movie is living out some sick serial killer fantasy they had. You see, the University of Idaho murders that just happened because one of the creators of this YouTube. Oh, hang on. Oh, so this is one of the pictures, and it looks like the girl is getting into a coffin under the kitchen or something. Someone said that this might be Xana, but I don't think it's Xana. I don't know. It's a very weird picture. I'm not sure what that picture is. It does look like a kitchen. Now, does this look like the kitchen in the Idaho house, in the 1122 house? I don't know. They're saying it's a snuff movie. This same account was connected to making troll comments on the deceased Instagram page. So what is a snuff movie? In case you don't know, a snuff movie shows an actual killing, not a pretend killing, an actual killing, just so you know. What else is there here? The white Hyundai looks like, oh, so this is another student made a student film that mocked Maddie and Kaylee and threatened to kill them. The film was on YouTube but was taken down. Have they identified the female student who threatened them? We don't know. It's called Kill the Clones. So, you know, when Kaylee was saying she felt like someone was stalking her, maybe they were stalking her online. Maybe they were threatening to make a movie about her like this in a threatening way. So another alias for Brian Kohberger or the Perp could be Jack Franklin 8752. Let's just look at that a second. Jack Franklin. I am guessing that that is somebody we'll be able to find pretty easily because most of Kohberger's pseudonyms you can find pretty quickly what that means. So Jack Franklin, let's see, was he a killer? There you go, castration serial murders. So where was Jack Franklin in that? Was he a victim or a murderer? Jack Franklin Andrews, there you go. So he was murdered and his dismembered remains were found near Litchfield in Connecticut. He had an extensive criminal history with arrests in various states, but had never been suspected of any crimes in Connecticut. After killing Andrews, his murderer castrated him and then proceeded to mutilate the corpse, cutting off the legs and head from the torso. The victim was successfully identified via DNA fingerprinting. I just hope that this does not signal that that's what happened in this case. I just hope that it wasn't as bad as this. I know it was bad already, but I hope it wasn't as bad as that. Oh, gosh. It's horrible. It's just horrific. I just can't even think. Okay, so Jack Franklin. I wonder what that 8752 means. Does that mean anything, I wonder? Let's see if that means anything. Let's go and do a search for Jack Franklin. What was it? I've got the number already. Hang on. 8752. Jack Franklin, 8752. Killer. Does that tell us anything extra? What's 8752? 8752. I don't think. Oh, Zodiac Killer ciphers. So the Zodiac Killer had ciphers to help encrypt and decrypt some of the data around his killings. And the Zodiac Dictionary.java mentions 8752. I wonder if that's going to help decrypt Kohberger's laptop or anything like that. So where's the 8752? Let's have a look. 8752. No, where is it? Let's go back again. 8752 in Kodak Dictionary, Zodiac Dictionary.java. So this is the file. So why do I not see 8752? Oh, they've taken it out. So it was here. Let's look at 8751 or something. No, I can't. So these numbers were used as like the key to decrypt things, I think. So they've taken out 8752 from this code because it used to be in there. We know that because Google still thinks it's there. So that's interesting that it's been taken out of this file. I wonder if we can see the history on this file. Can we see the history? Oh, we can see the history. Many updates. So is 8752 in this one? 8752, no. No, it's not there. I don't understand. Not sure what's going on there. Okay. I've done enough sleuthing for tonight, I think. This is kind of what I do all the time. I'm constantly looking for clues and trying to find them on the internet and so on. Okay, so we don't have anything there. What about this one? 8752 was in here somewhere. 8752. No. Okay, I'm going to give up. I think we've done enough sleuthing for tonight.